Hi everyone and welcome to Data Sense. My name is Nick, and if you're like me, you love diving into data. But you also probably are looking for the best data analysis and data visualization tools. Well, that's what this new video series is all about. We're on a mission to explore and evaluate the best open source data analysis and data visualization tools. Come along as we find the best tool for your next project. Okay, welcome back everybody. For our first step, we're going to install Data Formulator. Microsoft's made this fairly simple. They've actually added a Python package to install it. So we'll install the Python library rather than cloning the GitHub and going the hard route. But if you did want to do some development on it, you could also clone the GitHub repo. We've cloned the repo anyways just to play around with it, but since we're just testing it, we're going to install the library. So pip install Data Formulator. And once this is installed, start Data Formulator just by running Data Formulator. All right, now that that's installed, we should just be able to do python -m Data Formulator to get it up and running. And there we go. Allow that. And we can see it tells us to go to our local host on port 5000. Okay, thanks Edge. And we've got Data Formulator up and running. Let's move on to configuration. So the actual setup, I would say, is fairly good. Fairly easy. But now we need to get to the fun part. So we've got no models, provider. We are going to use Gemini. Okay, we've got our API key in there. You might have to do this a couple times because I clicked test and it didn't actually get it set up. So I will say before we dive into this, I played with this when it first came out and it was horrendous trying to get the models set up. I used both, so it's kind of nice they give you the backends for everything already set up so you don't have to put the APIs in there. But my API base is a little bit different for Ollama. And I played with Ollama, I played with Gemini, I played with OpenAI, and gosh, it was horrendous trying to get it set up. This is a little bit better. We've got it set up with Gemini. We're going to go ahead and use that. Let's say password. And for this test, we're going to try a database and we will try a local CSV file. So right now we're going to load up the CSV file. And for this CSV, for this data, we're using the World Bank development indicators data. So this is the right one. Upload it via database options. So the file's too large, so 182 megabytes. So it won't load that file from the CSV. So that kind of sucks.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
So that kind of sucks. Let's go database, file upload CV to local database. Okay, that's pretty good. Now you can see we've got our different years here, and we've got indicator names, country code. Now let's see if we can build a basic graph right off the bat. So let's say we want to look at country name. We're going to look at a bar chart, and we're going to do country name, and we're going to do indicator code, and actually, you know what? Let's see if we can just type this in. Show me GDP by country for 2025. I don't think 2025 is there. Let's say 2022. Let's see if it's smart enough to pull that information. Yeah, we have 2022 here. No, unexpected token, doc type not valid, JSON. So this is an error I was receiving quite a bit when trying to do this, and I think it's a problem actually with how it's sending the information to Gemini, which is kind of annoying because then we can't use the AI feature to build this. I actually have to build it myself, which sucks, kind of defeats the whole purpose. So losing points there because the Gemini doesn't seem to actually work, and maybe they just haven't updated it. All right, so we're going to go in the y-axis, we're going to go sum of indicator name. Actually, we want this field row indicator country name, sum of 2024, field indicator name, chart builder name, syntax error. Okay, what's going on here? We want some. Okay, we've got a basic chart up and running. It's okay. I mean, yeah, it's nothing special. The problem I have with some of these tools is like we don't even have a filter here, which is really annoying. Some basic stuff is just not in this UI. And it's not very intuitive. I mean, y-axis, x-axis, yeah, you can change the default how it looks. Have this by color, but there's no ability to filter or anything, so it kind of defeats the purpose of building this graph and making it easy to build this graph. We have our different countries, which is nice. We have some 2024 value of something. Uzbekistan. This is obviously bad data. 1.4 trillion for Uzbekistan. Yeah, that seems inaccurate. Save, open in Vega editor. Okay, we'll try and do something a little bit more advanced. I'm going to switch to Ollama and see if we can solve our doc type error. So I kept having problems with Gemini, so I'm going to try with DeepSeek and see if it fixes that JSON doc type error where it sends the HTML. GDP by country for 2024. So far I've wasted a lot of time that I could have been doing analysis. And that's kind of my experience when I first loaded this up a few months ago when it first came out. Don't see the value. I'm optimistic. Maybe it's just the model I was using. See if we get the error again. Okay. So, seems to think that it's being successful. We got country name, that's for sure. Again, there's no ability, like there's no GDP here, right? So it has no idea what to look for. It doesn't know it's an indicator. And it needs to show that specific indicator. Oh, new fields. Okay. We do have a new field, GDP 2024. So let's see if we add this in here. Ah, okay. It did create it successfully. Now, is this the right information? Who knows? Let's see. We can zoom in here a little bit. World GDP. Okay, that's right. That seems right. Europe, Central Asia, United States. Okay. So not bad. Not bad. Let's see if we can update this. Can you show me the GDP growth in Asia for 2024? Let's see, something a little bit more complex. Let's see if we can handle this. I'm impressed with the GDP. That's actually the first time I've actually able to get something useful out of this. Again, though, I mean, it would have taken me 2 seconds in another platform to put that together, so still not really time savings, but at least it shows the capabilities. While this is loading, we can see down here it's calculated the GDP. Oh, okay, it's actually taken the right code too. So GDP growth is a little bit too complex. Let's see, let's try something different. We're gonna do create new chart. And we're going to create, show me the GDP growth between 2020 as a line chart for the US for the past 10 years. So now we're getting a little bit more complex. Let's see if it can handle this. And while we're going through this, I am going to Yeah, didn't like that again. Cannot convert undefined object to... What we're going to do is increase this timeout a little bit to 60 seconds. And we'll do max repair attempts 2. Attempt to repair code if generated code fails. Yeah, might as well try it again. GDP growth for the United States over the past 10 years. It doesn't need to calculate this. It's actually a field, so I want to see if it's smart enough to actually find that field. So far, looking at our criteria, time to first output. Once I got everything set up, I think it was just a Gemini issue. DeepSeek seems to handle this a little bit better. I would say not too bad. I'll give it a 3 out of 5 for the time to first output. Learning curve. I mean, it's pretty simple. There's not much to it. Yeah, I'd say like a 4. There's not really much going on there to learn. I guess should literally just type in stuff and add stuff. Not too complex. Data connectivity seems pretty good. You can use CSV files in different databases. I'm going to give it a 3.5. Data ingestion ease, also pretty simple. I'm going to go with a 4. Yeah, so it's struggling with this. For the last 10 years. Let's see if we can just plot this. Built-in transformation. It's going to get a 0 for that because there really isn't much, and we can play around with this a little bit and see. Yeah, like you can't do anything with this, so there's no data cleaning, data transformation, ETL, anything like that. For our next category, we have data analysis and exploration. Querying capabilities. It seems like it can do a lot because it's an LLM and just has this query. So, but there's not any ability to really query beyond that or make new fields yourself, at least that I can see. So maybe I'm missing something. Clean fields not referenced by any table. Add table, add from file, session, export session, models, database, view grid. Yeah, not really. So I'm going to give that a 0. We'll give it a 1 because you do have a query window. It's just not very good. Keeps timing out. Data explorations, filtering, sorting, aggregation, interactive tables, 0 because it doesn't have any of that features. Analytical functions, basic stats, advanced functions, custom formulas. Again, I'm going to give that a 0 because it really doesn't have any of that. Like if I want to get a ANOVA table about the data, it doesn't have any of that ability. If I want to get a mean, max, it does kind of have that. Like it has these data fields. Okay, we'll give it a 1. It's just very basic and it doesn't work very well. I'm being all better. We'll get a 2. They're simple. It's got average, min, mean, count, some useful statistics. Chart types and customization. So if we go back to the chart here, I wonder if we can change this quickly to a line chart. Yeah, it looks funky though. Legends, defaults. Let's see if we can add country name in the legend. So that's pretty good. Looks a little bit better. Yeah, that messes that up. Let's see if we can do country code. We can break it down into facets, but that's not really what we want. Let's see if we can do a linear regression. Yeah, we don't have the right data in there. Let's just do auto. Oh, auto changes it. Oh, now we've lost everything. GDP by country name. Oops. We actually want that to be into the y-axis. And country name is the color. This still isn't working, so I'm not sure. Let's delete this graph. Let's go back to our data set. Okay, no, apparently it doesn't like that. Can't just go back to our data. How do I add a new graph here then? Create a new chart? But that's off that data. Oh, maybe that's why that wasn't working. It's because I was trying to create it off that data. Can you show me GDP growth for the United States over the past 10 years? That makes sense why that wouldn't be working. Chart customization, flexibilization, not really customizable, like very minimal, very basic, I would say. Database, you're not really creating much dashboards other than putting a couple graphs together, but there's no filters or anything, so I'm going to go with a 1 for dashboard creation. Interactivity and responsiveness. Yeah, again, not very good. It's probably going to get a 1 across the board for all reporting and everything. Collaboration and sharing. Doesn't look like there is any, so I'm just probably going to get a 0 for this because I don't see any sharing really, other than exporting. Like you can export your session, but there's no ability to share it with people or invite people or anything. Okay, so it did show me the, I'm going to go back and edit this data analysis querying capabilities. We'll give it a 2. Because it does work, does give me some of the data. This year, like I can't format and fix the year 2014 with commas because it's showing as, but it does show the greedy GDP growth pretty well actually. PNG, save as source. Let's see if we can add this into a different view. Okay, so we've got a couple views here. Let's see if we can do. I want to add. See if it's possible to add. Can you add a linear regression line to the chart? Let's see if it adds a linear regression to it. I mean, it is kind of nice that it does pull that out for the country. So the exploration maybe is a little bit better than I think. The query response time is not bad. We have it set to timeout at 60 seconds, so I would say it's pretty good. I'm going to give it a 4. Resource usage. If we check the task manager here, this is probably not using much. Alright, it's using about a gig of RAM. So if you were to host this in a VM, you would need at least 2 gigs. Maybe a little bit less. Yeah, see, it's okay, 650 megabytes. You might fit it in a gig, so like a small instance. Yeah, I didn't like that. So yeah, going beyond kind of basic stuff is challenging for this. Let's go back here and see if we can add a new chart. Let's generate some chart that might surprise you. Okay, generate some chart that surprised me. I'm happy to be surprised. Source of usage, not bad. I'm gonna give it a 3, I think. Scalability options, 0. I don't know how you would scale this. Data threads, 1 to 2. Not sure where it's showing me data thread 2. Let's go back to the GitHub and look at the checkout demos. Work with AI agents. They generate SQL queries to transform the data into rich visualizations. Really? Export large data file to local database powered by DuckDB. Yeah, that's cool. That works really well. Use drag and drop to specify charts, and Data Formulator dynamically fetches data from the data to create visualizations. Yeah, I'm not sure that works so great. I'm just trying to see what they have here in terms of actually doing anything useful. Okay, they've created a line chart. Can you do anything with it? Inspect the data, chart, and code. Where's the code inspection? Let's see here. Like, look how quickly it's working on this. I wonder if it's slow because I have it in a virtual machine. It's possible. But I tried this on my main computer too before, and it wasn't very fast. I see. I see. They've added some columns, and then they hit that formulate button. And it just automatically creates a chart for it, year times renewable energies. I mean, it's kind of nice that they actually have some demos on how to use it, because some of these things don't. Rank. So rank by renewable percentages. Developers instructions. New data analysis. So they have some documentation on how you can set this up and use it yourself and kind of play with it and build it differently and use parts of it. That might be fun to play around with, because at the end, underneath it, this is all just kind of agents instructing and sending instructions to DeepSeek. All right, what do we have here? Country name. I can't see any of the other countries. Can you show me GDP growth? Show me something interesting about the data. It's showing us that is incorrect. So we gotta be careful here. It looks like it's generating something, but it's not. GDP per capita is not right. It's just showing the year. And then it's showing the year, so it's just taking the year and put it in GDP per capita for different years. Yeah, that's not right. No wonder they're all the same. So let's delete that. Show me something interesting was a epic fail. Didn't show me anything interesting. Show me how bad it is at actually pulling out the data. And this is pretty clearly labeled. It's not like, if we look at these indicator names, just to go down here, like, maybe it's too much. Maybe if I simplify this, it would be a little bit better. But like it has, this has, I'm pretty sure it has GDP per capita in here. Yeah, see, GNI per capita. It has GDP per capita in the indicator name, so it should theoretically be able to just search through that and pull that out instead of showing me the actual year. Documentation quality. I mean, it looks good, but it really doesn't actually say much on how to use this. It's got a few videos though, so not bad. It's pretty. I'd say it's pretty complete. Let me take a look quickly at the. They do really create organizations. They have a couple of research papers, which is interesting too. Let's take a look at the PDF. I mean, this sounds nice, but it doesn't work very well. So I don't know where they're getting all this from. Like, how do I look at this? This would be nice. See how they have this? Seattle, 7-day average, warmer difference, Seattle difference derived from. I don't see this at all in the concept shelf. So maybe I'm missing something here. Like, where is this? Unless they just never were able to put this in here. Yeah, this did nothing. Let's try and formulate it again. Yeah, I don't see any ability to do this, so I'm not sure. Let's see. I can change the... I don't know what this does. Just allows me to move it? I don't know. I don't see where they've gotten this concept shell from. Known concepts. Create and derive concepts needed for visualization. Like, that's just completely missing from this. The paper sounds nice, more intuitive than they actually ended up making this, because it doesn't really work the way they've talked about it. Alright, documentation quality, we'll just give it a flat 3. Community activity, I don't think there is much around this. Bucket new vision, no code back found, cannot import response, annotations, add a citation file to help people cite this project. Create new data alerts, differences, good first issue, helpline. See if any of this. Lots of people have forked it. Let's see how many people. Oh, I can't see the forks of the login. So how many people are in the Discord channel? 7 online, 59 members. So not. I mean, there is a bit of a community, but not a huge community. Let's check out the YouTube. This is an amazing tool. Yeah, it's clearly from people who've never used it. Just bots. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 1 for community activity because I don't see a lot of it. Third-party resources, blogs, YouTube videos. I mean, there is a couple. Let's give it a 2. Open source. Let's see what the license is. MIT license, yeah, good. Open source, so you can play around with it. Associated costs. I mean, you need some sort of LLM to even get this running, so there's some costs associated with it. It's not exactly free. I mean, if you can run it locally, but I couldn't get that to work very well. And maybe because the model I'm using is too big. Tried a different model. Let's see if this works. Let's reset this. Let's test this again. Oops, I misspelled this. An extra T. I'm going to try a smaller model because using the bigger models seem... In a small VM, you would need, let's say, like, I don't know, $20 a month, $30 a month. How much is Gemma? How much is DeepSeek? Not too expensive, but expensive enough. Alright, let's switch this to Ollama. Let's see if we can do anything with this. Let's delete this chart. Let's do the surprise me thing again. Surprise me. Show me something. Hopefully it shows me something good. Not too expensive. We're going to go with 3. Overall, for the actual what you want to do with this, it doesn't work very well. The data visualizations are not very customizable. Yeah, if you don't have any ability to do anything, sure, it might actually do something. Bind error for DuckDB from clause country code indicator. Yeah. Select country code indicator as year 1960, 2008 is year 2024 from WSIA. Like, it'd be nice if you could actually build your own queries here, but I get it. The point is you don't need to do that. Like, I can't even customize this. Select GDP growth from indicator see if we baby it a bit, if we can do that in the table. While I'm doing this, I'm just going to show you how much it's using my GPU. Remember, this is a small model. It's not bad. It keeps error. Select indicator from where indicator name like GDP. Which should work. So why are we getting an error here? Create query, self-connection. Keep getting all these DuckDB errors. I'm going to try connecting to the Postgres database that I had set up. And we'll see if that... Alright, I've tried importing data from a Postgres database that I have set up locally. And you are able to query the data a little bit. So describe the goal and ask AI to help you write a query. Let's try that. Okay, I want to extract the GDP per capita data from this table. Indicator, we'll baby it a little bit. Name by looking for. Help me complete the query. Query the data source, describe your goal, and ask AIs. Let's see if that works. Let me fix the error. We'll see if it generates the query properly. So there is some ability actually to query the database a little bit better. I still think a 2 is probably... Because each time you have to import it, you have to query the data differently. And so you got to connect to the database, query the data, and re-import the data set, which is kind of annoying. You can't just splice it or edit it when importing the whole thing. Give it a 2.5. Yeah, select country name, country code, year value as GDP per capita. From Postgres, that's probably an indicator. Like or like GDP per capita, union all. No, we don't want to do that. I just want to take the first one, run query, syntax error, name, indicator name. Yeah, because these have to be like this. So like, it doesn't even build the query right. You gotta spend time editing the query, which is not great either. And to some extent, okay, maybe I could change the data so it's not like this, but you shouldn't have to do this. Let's see what happens. Okay. Good. Import as GDP per capita. Well, that's a little bit better. At least you can query the data. But again, this is supposed to be simple for people. And this is much more complex. Having to write SQL queries. Not everybody's going to be able to do this. So non-technical people, you can't filter your data very well. We'll try importing the Postgres data again without doing that, but I just want to see what happens here. Okay, so it don't have to disconnect. Can import it like this. Alright, we've got our WDI data. Let's load this table and let's see if we can now get the show me the GDP, or let's do this. Create a table with GDP per capita and the indicator name for the past 10 years. Let's Let's see if it works like that, if it'll do that. So all the errors, the reason I introduced the Postgres database, for those of you who missed it, there was a bunch of errors with DuckDB trying to set the filters and queries, and it wasn't working. So how we had done it before with DuckDB by importing the file into a local database didn't seem to work. And you couldn't just load the CSV file because it was too big. So hypothetically, we could cut this down, but that would require manipulating the data set a bit, and I just wanted to see how it works. Yeah, see, so we're getting errors again. Again with DuckDB. Trying to catalog WDI to create query, DuckDB catalog, search catalog error. I don't know why self-connect execute create query. This is just placeholder code only if you work with existing data. Select country name, assuming the values, which column GDP per capita holds from W data, where indicator name like GDP, CA. WData line 5. Table with WDI data. WDI data 2 does not exist. Well, why is it querying a separate table? That's weird. Filter by indicator and with GDP per capita. Let's see if this works. What I'm trying to do is see how simple it would be for somebody to load this data set, come in here and say, I just want to look at the GDP per capita data so I can create some graph from it. And so far, it has not worked well yet. It's not working. So I had to write the query myself in the back end to get that to work, and we can load that in right now. If we go add table from file, no, not from file. How do we do this? How do I add new data set here? Database. See, we have our GDP per capita data. I was able to do it with SQL. It just can't figure it out for some reason. And we can plot this now. Like now I can plot this. Plot a line graph for United States, Canada, and China for the past 10 years. And this should work now because it's much more simple. There's only country name, year, GDP per capita. Let's see if it handles this. But again, to get to this point, you already need to know SQL because it wasn't able to write the SQL query properly. So if you didn't know that the column names needed to be in brackets if there's space to them, you would just be running into errors. And we're still running into errors where country name equals United States, where country name equals Canada, and country code in CA. Seemingly unnecessary to filter by the country code, but case when country equals Canada, then else 2 0. It's just making it way too complex. All right, let's build this ourselves then. We're gonna do a line chart, and we're gonna do, where are we here? Country name on the x-axis. But again, I can't filter it. I don't know why I can't filter this. The lack of filtering really bothers me. GDP per capita. Actually, we want that as value. No, that makes sense, yeah. And then, so it would be nice to be able to add year in here too. But you can't. You can only show. I guess we'll add that in the legend. And we want year on the x-axis. Well, obviously there's some bad data in here. No ability to filter it, which is crushing. Let's go. Now that we have it set up, let's see if this works. Some of these GDP per capita figures a little bit sus. Not looking quite right. But there's no ability to clean this data set unless I run a bunch of SQL queries, so ETL not ranking very high. Usability of this tool, it's funny because if you read their paper, it talks about there's no ability to do data analysis and visualization without having some programming skills and cleaning the data sets, blah, blah, first. Meanwhile, this doesn't do any of that, so I'm not sure the point they were trying to make. No, yeah, consider breaking down the task. Yeah, it is simple. It's simple. I want to filter the legend. You know what? If they had some examples of how to use this better, I think it would be a little bit better, but it just doesn't really seem to work for me. I don't show Canada and the US. Let's see if maybe I'm making it too complex. Maybe I'm trying to describe it too much. I wonder if changing the model would also make this better, because this is trying to create SQL queries. So really you would probably want a coder model with some reasoning. Switch back to DeepSeek and see if this runs better. So far, this is not something I would use regularly, I don't think. Not saving any time. This is going to time out too. Okay, so it's not the model. It's not the model we're using. DeepSeek is a pretty complex model, pretty large. I'd say it competes with most of the bigger ones. Yeah, maybe if we use Claude, it might be a little bit better, the SQL queries you get back, but no. This is a simple thing. This is a simple thing. I just want to filter this legend to only show US and Canada. It shouldn't be this complex. It has everything here to do it. This is a fail for me. I don't see why anybody would use this. Hopefully they update it, make it a little bit better. Okay, well, final verdict on Microsoft's Data Formulator. Getting the setup and everything running, pretty good. Pretty good. I will give it a final ranking of 4 out of 5. The setup process is pretty easy. The initial configuration can be a little bit complex. The time to first output is pretty quick, but yeah, overall, I would say about a 4 or 5, maybe 3.5. Yeah, let's lower that a little bit. 3.5 out of 5. Just because getting the database set up, getting the models set up, not highly intuitive if you don't know what you're doing. Data connectivity and integration supports quite a bit of integration and data connectivity, and it's not too complex to load a CSV, and it loads it into a local database, which is nice automatically. There's no transformation or ETL processes unless you know how to code in SQL, but it kind of defeats the purpose. Like, running SQL queries, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just do it before I upload the database or create a separate table that's already had these transformations applied rather than doing it within this tool. So I'm going to give that as overall this category maybe probably like a 3. I'd give it a 3. Here's where it starts to fail miserably. I think the data analysis and the exploration within this tool, which is the whole point of this tool to begin with, is poor. I mean, we've ranked this a 2.5 for querying capabilities, 0 for data explanation and features, and 2 for analytical functions. It's very basic. I mean, even the charts it's create are very basic. It's no ability to filter anything or explore the data further. You have some sum and median and average, but trying to add even a trend line was not intuitive. So for this, probably going to get maybe a 1.5 out of 5. Again, data visualization and dashboarding, I kind of touched on this in the exploration of the data. Not very good. Overall, each one got a 1, and I just gave them points just for the sake of it. Some of these probably could have been 0. Is there really an ability to create a dashboard? Not really. There's not much customization in the charts at all. At least this time, it actually figured out the years properly. Interactivity and responsiveness, not great. Collaboration and sharing, again, there is none of that really. Exporting to PNG or exporting to JPEG, exporting to PDF, that's about it. So you'd have to share it on your own. No real ability to have other people join. Performance and scalability, not much to say here. The query response time was okay. Didn't take a ton of time to actually get stuff back, so I give it a decent amount score for that. Resource usage, again, not bad. You could run this on a small instance. Scalability, it's not really there. There's no real ability to scale this or distribute it, so yeah. Overall, let's say about 3. Community support, there's not a huge community using this, again, because the tool isn't much, so you're not going to have a lot of people developing and building off this because there's not much there. They might strip out the agents and create their own kind of front end and face to it, but you probably won't see a big community around this. I'm going to give it a 2. Costs and licensing, there's no real cost associated with it. 4, again, you have to subscribe to some sort of LLM, and then if you want to run it in a VM online, pay for that as well. But other than that, it's free to run and set up on your local desktop. If you have Ollama, you could run some basic models. I showed 5.4 reasoning, a light model of it, with I think it's 6K context window for that one. And it was able to do some stuff, like we were able to create this graph with it. So finally, our overall score is, I'll post it up on the window here. But not great. For doing analytics and visualization, it's very poor. And this is not best for anybody. I would not suggest anybody uses this tool. It's a waste of time. So look forward to our next comparison. I hope it's a little bit better. We've got a list of tools here. That I know are going to be much better because a lot of people use them. I think we'll do Superset net, Apache Superset. This one's a little bit more complex. It's not for a beginner, but it should be a lot better and a lot more detailed and a lot better video. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys then. We can help. Find links in the description for more information. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.